Hi everyone, Katie McQueen here, registered dietitian for the Center for Cardiac Fitness. Today we're going to be talking about the Mediterranean diet. So, what is the Mediterranean diet? When I say diet here, I'm referring to the typical eating habits of people in countries bordering the Mediterranean Sea. So, the diet of those people just means what do they eat? But this is not the traditional diet, which is, for weight loss or is a strict regimented diet plan. This is more of an eating pattern. And there's not one standard Mediterranean diet. There's actually at least 16 countries that border the Mediterranean Sea. And the eating styles of these countries can vary, but this is kind of an accumulation or a summary of the traditional eating habits of these countries. So, a typical Mediterranean style diet has a large emphasis on plants. So, on a daily basis, they're going to eat plenty of fruits, vegetables, bread, and other whole grains, starchy vegetables, including potatoes, beans, nuts, and seeds. The primary fat source is going to be olive oil. The primary animal protein is going to be fish. Dairy, eggs, and poultry are eaten, but in more moderate amounts, and red meat is limited. Plant based food should be minimally processed, and wine is allowed in low to moderate amounts. So, why are we even talking about the Mediterranean diet? Well, this style of eating has many accolades behind its name. So, every year, the US News and World Report ranks the best diets, and several years in a row, the Mediterranean diet has ranked highly. This past year, Mediterranean diet was ranked number one in best diets overall and number one in best plant based diets. It tied for first place for best heart healthy diets, tied for first place in best diabetes diets, tied again for best diets for healthy eating, and was number one in easiest diets to follow. And the reason this diet ranks so highly is because it has many, many benefits that have been well studied over the past half century. So, the Mediterranean diet reduces the risk of diabetes. It lowers hemoglobin A1C, which is a marker for diabetes. It lowers risk of heart disease by lowering blood pressure, lowering LDL cholesterol, lowering triglycerides, being anti inflammatory. It defends against chronic diseases, fights certain cancers, and can also aid in weight loss and weight management. The Mediterranean diet has also been shown to lengthen your life. It improves brain function, reduces risk of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease, reduce rates of depression, improves rheumatoid arthritis, improves eye health, reduces risk of dental disease, helps you breathe better, improves fertility, and leads to healthy outcomes after pregnancy with healthy babies being born. So hopefully I have convinced you that there are many benefits to following a Mediterranean eating style. Does the American Heart Association recommend or endorse the Mediterranean diet? Yes, this comes directly from their website. It says a Mediterranean style diet can help you to achieve the American Heart Association's recommendations for a healthy dietary pattern. They note that it helps to prevent heart disease and stroke, helps to reduce risk factors, can help to remove excess cholesterol from the arteries and keep those blood vessels open. And they note that it's proven to boost bone health. So, yes, major organizations are on board with the Mediterranean diet. So this is the Mediterranean diet pyramid. So let's start at the bottom of the pyramid and work our way up. So the bottom shows physical activity and enjoying meals with others. It's really important in the Mediterranean culture that we're physically active in ways that we enjoy, dancing and walking and playing sports. And it's really critical to enjoy meals, sit down with family and friends, and have that social connection while we're eating. Moving up the pyramid, the biggest section of foods is fruits, vegetables, grains, olive oil, beans, nuts, legumes, seeds, herbs, and spices. These are going to be included at every single meal. The biggest part of the meal is going to be covered in plant based foods, foods that grow out of the ground. Lots of different colors of fruits and vegetables provide various health benefits, and always trying to choose whole grains instead of refined grains. Now, moving up the pyramid, you see fish and seafood. It's recommended to have fish at least twice a week, but more could be fine as well. Moving up the pyramid, you'll see poultry, eggs, cheese, and yogurt. It says moderate portions daily to weekly. So, yes, you can still eat these foods, but you wouldn't typically have them at every single meal. But you can eat them every day at certain meals, but you wouldn't have them at every meal. And then at the top of the pyramid, meats and sweets, those are really to be had less often. So, what you'll see here is that the Mediterranean diet is not specific, saying you have to have X amount of this per day and X amount of that. It's just telling you general and foods to include. And then everybody has individual nutrition needs. Some people need bigger portions, some people need smaller portions, some people are trying to gain weight, some people are trying to lose weight. So, it's just telling you general foods to include in your everyday eating pattern. Over on the left, you'll see that there's wine included. So if you choose to drink alcohol, the Mediterranean diet would say to drink red wine because there possibly can be positive health benefits of that. The rest of the day, drinking water should be your main hydrator. This chart here shows common foods and flavors of the Mediterranean diet, and then it indicates whether we should be eating them most often, moderately, or less often. So when you look at the boxes for vegetables and tubers, grains, fruits, nuts, seeds and legumes, herbs and spices, you'll see that there's three circles, and that's indicating we should eat these foods most often. When we look at poultry and eggs, fish and seafood, cheese and yogurt, you'll see there's two circles indicating we should eat these moderately. And when you see sweets and meats, you'll see one circle indicating that we should eat these less often. You can get a copy of this at oldwayspt.org. So, how can you incorporate the Mediterranean diet into your life? Now, I'll give you some practical tips of how you can include these foods to live a healthy lifestyle. Keep in mind, everything I'm talking about today is also talked about in the other nutrition presentations, but now we're just bringing it all together. Choose whole grains instead of refined grains. So, whenever you're having a grain product, think about how you could swap it out for something that's a whole grain. For example, having whole wheat or whole grain bread instead of white bread, whole wheat English muffin instead of a white English muffin. Even waffles and pancakes, there's certain brands that make 100% whole grain pancakes and 100% whole grain waffles. Then moving on to lunch, instead of having a sandwich on white bread, try a wheat pita, try a wheat wrap. At dinner, instead of having white pasta, try whole grain pasta. It comes in all different forms penne and elbows and spaghetti. Instead of always having white rice, try a wild rice, brown rice, and try switching it up with different whole grains like farro and quinoa. Add fruits and vegetables to all your meals and snacks. So, for example, at breakfast, if you're having oatmeal, add fruit to it. If you're having waffles or pancakes or scrambled eggs, add some fruit on the side. If you're having yogurt, add fruit to it. Make a fruit smoothie and throw in some spinach or other vegetables. At lunch, if you're having a sandwich or a wrap, add vegetables into it or add a side salad or have carrots and pepper sticks dipped in hummus. At dinner, instead of just having pasta and meatballs, add vegetables into that pasta. Always try to incorporate lots of different colors of fruits and vegetables throughout the day as much as possible. Use extra virgin olive oil as your main oil in your house. It's great on a salad, but it can also be used during cooking. I put it on vegetables before I roast them. You could also use it as a marinade. Extra virgin olive oil is the first press from the olives. It's very minimally processed. It is high in antioxidants, it is anti inflammatory, and it also has high amounts of vitamin E. Extra virgin olive oil has a smoke point of somewhere between 374 to 405 degrees Fahrenheit. So, unless you're cooking at a higher temperature than that, you're totally fine to use the extra virgin olive oil and you'll still reap its many health benefits. If you're doing super high heat cooking above 405, then you might want to use a different type of oil that does not smoke at that high heat, such as regular olive oil that's not the extra virgin or an avocado oil. Include nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds are a great addition to oatmeal or yogurt. Some seeds that I like are chia seeds, hemp hearts or hemp seeds, and ground flax seeds. On the bottom left here, you see some chia pudding. On the top right, you see some toast with peanut butter with some seeds sprinkled on top. Nuts can be a great addition to a snack. Grab a handful of nuts and a piece of fruit, and you have a balanced snack. Nuts are high in unsaturated fats as well as nut butters like peanut butter, cashew butter, almond butter, and these are going to help lower our LDL cholesterol. So try to include nuts and seeds on a daily basis. You can also sprinkle some nuts onto your salad. Eat seafood at least twice a week. You want to eat at least 8 ounces of seafood per week, but some proponents of the Mediterranean diet suggest 15 ounces of seafood per week does have increased benefits. Now, all seafood is welcome, but certain seafood is particularly high in omega 3 fatty acids, which are that really heart healthy type of omega. So, fish high in omega 3s include salmon, trout, sardines, and albacore tuna. So, keep that in mind when you're choosing your seafood. But any seafood is really fair game. If you are going to eat 15 ounces of seafood per week, you do want to make sure that you're not getting too much mercury. So, low mercury seafood includes shrimp, canned light tuna, salmon, pollock, and catfish. So, you can safely eat a large amount of seafood without going overboard on the mercury. Eat beans and legumes for plant based protein. So, following a Mediterranean eating style, you need to understand that a meal can still be complete even if there's no animal on the plate. You could make lentil stew. You could make a bean based chili with 3 or 4 different types of beans. On the top right here, you're going to see a tofu stir fry. So, including beans, legumes, tofu, tempeh provides you with protein. You do not have to have animal meat on your plate for it to be a balanced meal. Eat chicken, eggs, and dairy in moderation. So, the Mediterranean diet is not vegan. You still can eat some animal proteins, which is why it's such a great eating pattern for many Americans who are not ready to totally give up animal foods. When it says in moderation, that's going to mean something different to everyone, right? It's all relative to what you're used to eating. But to me, it means that you can have chicken at one meal a day, but maybe don't have chicken at lunch and then turkey at dinner. Maybe have one meal a day where you're having some type of animal meat, and then the rest of the day having more plant based foods. If you wanted to have a yogurt every day, that would be fine as well. It says daily to weekly for these foods. So some of them you might have on a daily basis, but something like chicken or turkey, you might have, 2 or 3 times a week. So decide what works for you, but know that you can still include these foods. Low fat or fat free dairy is recommended in terms of the American Heart Association guidelines for lowering LDL cholesterol. And with chicken, make sure you are taking that skin off as that part is higher in saturated fat. Eat red meat sparingly or not at all. So, red meat on the Mediterranean diet would only be included a few times a month, if at all. And when you do eat red meat, you want to keep the portion small, about 3 ounces, which is about the size of a deck of cards, and remove any visible fat or drain any fat if you're using ground beef. So, it's not going to be a frequently eaten food on a Mediterranean diet. If you choose to drink alcohol, then the preferred beverage on the Mediterranean diet would be red wine. And that's because red wine has antioxidants called polyphenols. And one of these polyphenols is called resveratrol. And this has been studied for its positive impact on our heart health. It can help prevent damage to the blood vessels, reduce LDL cholesterol, and prevent blood clots. Now, this does not mean you should start drinking in order to get the benefits, and binge drinking is still discouraged. Maximum would be 1 5 ounce glass of red wine for a woman, and maximum 2 5 ounce glasses of red wine for a male. And this should be something that should be run by your cardiologist. Typically, when you're on lots of different medications, it's not a great idea to drink. So, this would have to be approved by your physician. But if you were going to drink, a good option would be red wine. And finally, in general, a Mediterranean eating style is also going to limit certain nutrients. It's going to limit added sugars. It's going to limit sugar sweetened beverages like soda and energy drinks. It's going to limit sodium just in the sense that you're not eating processed foods and you're eating whole foods that you're seasoning with herbs and spices. So you're just generally not getting a lot of sodium. It's going to limit highly processed foods, so that's going to cut down on the sodium amounts. It's going to limit refined carbohydrates, saturated fats, and processed meats. Here are some different resources to get you started. You're going to see lots of great resources on the Old Ways website, which is oldwayspt.org. And then from there, you can find sources for the Mediterranean diet. Old Ways is a nonprofit that's dedicated to improving public health by inspiring individuals and organizations to embrace the healthy, sustainable joys of the old ways of eating. And Old Ways actually created the Mediterranean diet pyramid and has been a pioneer in patient resources for this eating style and providing evidence based studies around the Mediterranean diet and its benefits. They also have a recipe section where you can search by different types of cuisine, and then you can also search by which course, so main dish or salad. You can quickly find some great recipes. They also have a book and an e version of this book that has a 4-week menu plan, and it's called Make Everyday Mediterranean. You can also sign up for their email list. They give you options of what list you want to join, and there's two of them that are related to the Mediterranean diet. You can also visit the American Heart Association website at the link below, or just search AHA Mediterranean diet, and this should come up. There's also several cookbooks on the Mediterranean diet, but I like this one because it's written by fellow dietitians. I thought I'd end with a throwback photo of myself in Italy at the Leaning Tower of Pisa, or the Leaning Tower of Pizza. So, by the way, is pizza part of the Mediterranean diet? Well, it could be. You could definitely make a Mediterranean homemade pizza. You could get whole wheat pizza crust and load that pizza with lots of different vegetables. Bon appetit!